Hello, everyone. This is Travis Michelle. How are you doing tonight? I'm just so excited. We are back. Yeah, that's right. We are back for another exciting episode of Late Night with Travis Michelle. I am your TV host, Travis Michelle. And you see my shirt? Y'all like it? Fearfully and wonderfully made. That's right. That is me. Okay. Here at Late Night with Travis Michelle, we talk about the ugly side of the backstory. What does that mean? What is ugly side of the backstory? That is where guests come on and they share their journey and they give us tips and tools during that period before they reach success. Because everybody wants to know what happens, how was it, and all of that. But how did you get there? What did what did it take? Those pitfalls, those challenges, those wins. How do you stay motivated, determined, resolute? What is your resilience like? So that's what we come on here every week with guests, or if not, there's no guests, it's yours truly, and we share stories. And it helps you be a better you, an improved you, not a new you, just an improved you. I am a best-selling international author of Saving Lives, part of an anthology, while fighting for mine. And in this, I actually share tips on going through a divorce successfully and keeping your sanity. I also have Boss Up with Confidence Journal, which you can find on Amazon. Really excited about that. I have the link here. And in this journal, it's a 30-day journal. And it's talking about my walk method. It helps you get through. W, willing participant. A, action steps. L, love yourself, but not just saying it. Forgiving yourself so that you can forgive other people, right? Before you forgive other people, you forgive yourself, which leads to freedom. And freedom leads to redemption. And redemption is walking through the story. But that K is kick butt unapologetically. Stop apologizing for who you are, what you've been through in your past. It's about where you are now and where you're going. But you do have to kind of dig in and say, hey, I have some things I need to change, I need to work on. And I've used this throughout my life for every challenge that I've gone through. And as you guys know, I am a cervical cancer warrior, kicked cancer's ass. Yes, I did. And now, trying to get through that second part of the post treatment. And we're going to be talking about that and having a whole segment actually on what it takes to get through cancer. So yes, I look great. I know. Thank you. I appreciate you. But there's so much more to it. How did I get through it? And how am I going through that journey? So tonight we have our wonderful, beautiful guest, Ebony L. Green. And she's known as the Ratchet Sage. And that's why we're talking about unleashing the potential within. I'm going to let her further introduce herself. But we met on Clubhouse. If y'all don't know about it, you better be about it. And we met in a room called Black Girls Talk, founded by Shayla Washington. And we just clicked. Like you can hear some people and the energy's right and everything just clicks. Well, that's what happened with she and I. And now we are like, let me tell you, she has snatched my edges. And y'all see, I don't have much edges, right? Okay. But she helped me get my whole life together. And now I'm able to really execute because I have clarity. And that's what I love about Ebony, her clarity. So without further ado, y'all, don't forget, you have your beverage. Yeah, it's my water. Because I have to be healthy and everything. I stay hydrated. But whatever it is you decide to do, be in your bonnet or whatever, you're not on camera, relax. No, this is every Wednesday that we do this, right? Put them chill in the bed. Tell hubby, boo thing, partner, that this is your time. This is your hour every Wednesday. So without further ado, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Travis Michelle 7251. We are bringing in our wonderful guest. Yay! Woo woo!
Hey,
Hi, Queen. How are you doing?
I'm in good shape tonight. Yes.
Well, you look absolutely beautiful. as
Thank
always.
you.
And guys, I have to let you know, she has these gorgeous locks. I mean, they
Oh,
are
those are faux locks, boo. But yes, I
what
do. That's my signature look is faux locks. And people keep saying, when you gonna lock it up? And I'm like, I like to play with my hair too much. We're gonna get into that too. But yeah, I like
I,
to play with my hair too much. So
you know what? Isn't that a good? That's one thing about being a woman, especially a black woman. We just change our hair up, depends on how we're feeling. Okay, so this
mhm.
was like a chemo look. But you know what? I'm leaning into it. And now I really like it because my hair isn't coming back the way it used to. So, anywho, you make
Mhm.
changes. And that's why I throw a wig on in the winter time. But now, these hot flashes, I can't be doing all that. So tell us something like, how are you doing? Y'all, you in for it tonight. How are
Hot
you doing
flashes.
tonight?
I'm good. I didn't have a hot flash today, which is good. It was actually warm today in Boston, so that was nice. Did you have good weather where
Oh,
you're at? It was nice today, so I was out.
NYC, why is it 80 degrees when it's April and you're supposed to slowly, all y'all that thought you're gonna have your bodies together for summer and later spring, the joke is on you. You just going out there the way you is, okay? Just do what you do. Because it messed us up all the way. How is your son doing? How's your husband doing?
Listen, we're in good shape. They being quiet. They're giving me some peace right now. Like you said, it's me time. I appreciate them so much. So yeah, they're in good space. Sire is doing his second week in real school, and he's very much enjoying that and doing so good in it. So I appreciate you just uplifting me as a sister a couple of weeks ago when I was like, trying to get him into school. So yeah, it's been a process, but he's like happily going to school, and we're kind of teaching them like, okay, which way to go? Because we walk him to school, walk him home. So I was like, which way are we going? We going right? We going left? Trying to figure out if he knows how to get to school and how to get home. Not that he'll
Right.
be doing it by himself, but So that's fun. That's a fun new journey. Being over 40 with a 5-year-old is an interesting experience, but I am really trying to find all the joy in it and really enjoy it. Like in the moment, have joy in the situation. And it's been a process to get there, but now that I'm there, like I'm eating it up and I ain't trying to let it go.
And see, that's important, guys. Lean into where you are. And if it's some place that's negative, you have to lean in order to get out of it. Don't try to bypass it. And when it's positive, lean in and learn from it, grow from it, because if you look at everything as, oh, it's a problem, it's not the way I want it, we realize that. But now what are you going to do? What's the next step? You got it, right? You're present. So I'm just so happy that you're embracing this journey, this chapter in your life over 40 with a 5-year old. That's great. And I'm glad that, because I know her personally, that her husband is so wonderful and you really are a great team together. So, but we'll get back to the personal. So tell me, what about this Ratchet Sage? Like, who is the Ratchet Sage?
Me, as a personal brand, I always tell people like I don't understand this concept of like I am my brand. You know what I mean? Personally, for me, I needed that separation. Um, Ebony is not up for consumption at all. That's not how this works. But the Ratchet Sage's message and education and knowledge is. And I freely give that up in clubhouse streets, off clubhouse streets. You know how I do. I'm always teaching somebody something. People might as well call me professor, but I guess that's the sage part. But the ratchet part is the part of me that's not gonna show up the way you expect me to show up. I am articulate. I'm incredibly philosophical. I'm very intellectual, very much the visionary, incredibly strategic. But people don't expect that to have a flavor of ratchet, and it does for me. I'm gonna be me wherever I go, and I'm gonna do how I do things. And the ratchet just gives people an expectation that this is not what you expect. Most sages are at the real and woo woo and very poised. And I'm like, I got all the fire. Let's talk about this. Like, it's just a different energy. And I want people to know what they're going to get hit with when they come to learn from me through the Ratchet Sage, or if they come to my business brand, which is Authentic Distinction for Services. You're going to get hit with a lot of energy that's in your face to get you to recognize your potential, right? I do not want you out here ashy in these streets. And a lot of times we put the ash on ourselves by diluting our greatness. And I just don't want people doing that. So if you want to learn how to not do that, the Ratchet Sage is here for you, right? If you want me to teach you how to do that and walk through that process with you, I'm over at Authentic Distinction, my business brand. But I needed that separation because I'm not sure Ebony got too much for anybody today. You know, and that's probably how a lot of Black women feel nowadays. And that's my truth. So I needed that separation, and that's where that Ratchet Sage comes from. But you're going to learn something when you work with me. You're going to get clear on something, and you're going to activate it. And we're going to get you into an actionable safe space. You know how I do. But it's going to be in a way that is probably not what you expect, but incredibly effective.
And can you go over that? Hi, Angelique. Thank you so much. And if you are on YouTube, I haven't seen you because I can't have all of my apparati open at this. Is that a word, apparati? Because it's more than one. So just know I'll go back later and I'll acknowledge you. And if you're here on StreamYard, make sure if you don't have your name, that you put it in, because I like to always give shout outs. So hi, Angelique again. Yes. Can you explain, like you said, ashy? Like, okay, if we're of color, we know ash. Like, I made sure I had my lotion on, right? I didn't want to come out here ashy because you know what I mean? So what does that mean to you when you say you don't want to be ashy in these streets?
And so, I mean, a lot of people use the word ashy, right? I can't say that I coined it, but I probably, with my neural distinction being a Black autistic woman, took it very deeply in my head. And the way I process it is, we come here with this gift of skin, and it's glistening, even if you don't have melanin. When it's supple and it's lotioned, right? It's smooth. It's wonderful. We want to touch it. Babies have that skin, right? Just like when we are born,
Right.
we have all that we need to be curious and figure out who we are and develop resilience. We fall, we hit, we still get up and try to learn how to walk, right? We do all those things. But then the world shows up and says, hey, I got these clothes. You should wear them. Not only should you wear these clothes, but I think you should go here with the clothes on. And you should say these things when you get to that space. Okay? So this world is constantly imposing on you. And when you accept that and go, oh yeah, these are my clothes, let me wear them, you're ashy. You can feel when something is true to you. You can feel when something is authentic to your being and when it's not. And when you start to activate that being into doing, you know when you lack integrity. You know it. And sometimes it's a hard decision. Do I go with what I know is right, or do I be safe in this moment? And this is why actionable safe spaces are so important, because no one's going to give you that safe space at all. And you got to create that for yourself. And so for me, when I say don't be out here ashy in these streets, don't be out here diluting your greatness. You show up with all your mess instead of showing up with your greatness, you're ashy. When you show up with their clothes or the ones they want you to wear, you're ashy. You have your own clothes to wear. And we don't think about that when we're trying to start a business.
Right.
And we do what everybody else is doing. I'm a coach, so I got to do what all the other coaches are doing. Ashy. Okay. I got in this to help people, but I'm so focused on selling something that I don't even care if people finish the program. Ashy. Wow. And I could go on and on and on about ashiness, but I know he's not good for me, but I keep calling him at 2:00 in the morning. Ashy.
See, now you're getting in people's business. You see that? Now you stepping on toes. You were good before, you know, it was like, oh yes, she's really defining it, giving clear examples, great. And then you had to go step on folks' toes. Like, you know what I'm saying? We all got a little ashiness. Don't be looking at my elbows now. Come on. But no, thank you so much for explaining that and going in detail. And you know, I loved when you said, "Don't dilute your great." That's huge. Don't dilute your greatness, right? Because that's what we do. We water down because, oh my goodness, I don't want you to say that. Oh my goodness, I don't, I don't want you to feel a certain way. But we can't please everybody. And like I can tell you one thing, as a cervical cancer warrior, when I learned and really I started executing, making myself priority number one. Mm-hmm. Y'all don't understand who you're looking at right now. It's like, really? That's your problem. I give 0 Fs. Yeah, okay. Because I'm going to be who I am. See, fearfully and wonderfully made. That's right. I'm going to be me. So every time you see me on person, on screen, whatever, in an interview, in the streets, you know, on a plane, a train, whatever, bus. No, I probably won't be on a bus. But anyway, I'm going to just be me. I don't know how to be anyone else. And if other people are uncomfortable with your greatness, that's a them problem. Stop making it a you problem, right? So I would like for you to share with us, because a lot of people may not know, that, you know, tell us about your neural distinction and what that is, because it's so important that we educate people about that.
So, as a coach, that one of the things I really truly believe is dear to my heart is that choice is power. So I always have also offered people choice, leniency, ability to reschedule, access to me. You can interrupt me, ask questions, go on and on for as long as you need to so that we can get this out and process it. And what I was doing was attracting people who process in different ways because they finally found a space to be able to do that.
Right.
So one day I had a client that was like, listen, I think you should go get tested. I think you're like me. And I was like, well, I'm fine, because I grew up believing that people who had neural distinctions were slow, which is awful, right, and ableist as fuck. But that's what I was taught. That's what I was understood. So I was like, oh, nothing wrong with me. I don't know. But getting into more understanding of why this person was saying this, I was like, oh yeah, that's me. Oh, that is definitely me. So yeah, formal diagnosis came a little bit before 40, after I'd had my son. And it was a process of like, oh, so that's why all of this is this way. Like, I've always known I'm different than other people. I'm kind of a weirdo and all of those things, but it just gave me some understanding of, no, you were just processing different than other people. So the things that came out of your mouth is not something that they had heard, conceptualized, processed for themselves. So they're like, what is that? You know? And then the autistic propensity to have a hyperfixation. So you go deep into things. It's never surface. And so you can talk about something 8 hours straight. And they're just things that I just thought were, oh, this is how Ebony is. And it was very refreshing for me to realize, no, there's a lot of other people out there like that. You're not the only one. And that my background and my experience had led me on a different path where I had been perceived and engaged with as a neurotypical person. And now, since my diagnosis, I realize how dangerous and ashy that has been for me. And so I make it clear everywhere I go, like, I am a Black woman autist. And so I'm going to go deep. You're either going to be cool with this or you're not. I'm going to explain something. If it's over your head, you can ask as many questions as you want. But for you to feel like I'm trying to talk down to you or make you feel some type of way is just limiting and diluting my greatness. And I refuse to do that anymore. I realized that I had been masking in many spaces, and I just refuse to play respectability politics, right? So there's just things I'm going to say and that I'm just not silencing myself about anymore. And so I think where the autism has come in is just really helped me understand why I have never been to a concert. No interest in being around that many people and engaging with that much energy at one time. But I just thought I was weird because everyone goes to concerts, right? Everyone wants
Right.
to fly somewhere and go to a resort. And I'm like, I have no interest. I'm a homebody. I got all my stuff I need here. I got the people I love here. I don't need to go nowhere. I don't really host parties, but I'm a personable person. I can get along
Right.
with people like that. And so it was just never really picked up that it takes a special type of person for me to actually have that kind of deep, authentic connection. And I think that's really where my autism shows up the most. It's, can you handle all of this? And do you really want to engage with it? Because I can feel when it ain't real
Right.
because of fixation, right? So it's one it, and I think that's what I'm processing the most now, is recognizing who has always honored my differences and been okay with it, and who has not. And without even going into the why, just shifting into the folks that are honoring it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. And that you said so much in terms of it's the way we process. And saying people are slow. Or maybe you're the one slow because you don't get it and they said it very simply or in a different way, right? We don't always have to get to the same ending the same way. There are different ways to do that. And being able to embrace our differences is what's that isn't that part of humanity? Because we don't all look the same. We don't, even if you're a twin, there are differences,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you're finding out about it later in life. I feel there's probably a lot of adults that are
Mm-hmm.
on some sort of spectrum, but uh, one, they're ashamed. Two, they feel they're too old, it wasn't caught earlier, or they just have no idea and didn't even like process or think of it that way. And you're having the ability to embrace it, to lean in, and then to help others. Because let me tell you something. Hi, Tiffany. How are you? Thanks for joining. When I met Ebony, and she was like, "Oh, I have neurodistinction," and I was like, "Okay." And guess what? I've had chemotherapy. I process differently. So we were talking, and I was like, "Yeah, we actually clicked in what she understood." I have to explain certain things to people because I process differently than the way I did. It doesn't mean that I'm not intelligent and I don't know stuff. I just process it different, and you have to be very clear with me. And I ask more questions, whereas before I'm just like, okay. And now I guess I'm more intentional about it because I'm aware. And once I realized I'm processing differently with the help of therapy, because it didn't just pop up. I know I'm intelligent, got my degrees and everything, but it didn't work like that. They had to point that out for me. So um, now you have a son. Do you find that he has some of the same traits? Because I'm asking because a lot of times as parents, we might be going through something and we can either help our children if they are and embrace and allow them to be unique as opposed to putting them into some kind of box, which I don't believe in boxes.
So it's a personal choice, right? To identify as a
Right,
person, as an autistic person, right? That's a choice. And I don't need to make that choice for him. Remember, choice is power, right? So I don't need to make
right,
that choice for him. What I do think is important, and I'll state this very controversial thing on the Late Night with Travis Michelle show, that it's of my opinion that if you're not being ashy, you're going to exhibit some neurodistinction. And the reason for that is no one has lived your life and walked in your shoes and experienced things the way that you do. We're not going to come to the same conclusions in many circumstances as humans. We're just not.
right,
And so I think part of the reason why we don't really fully understand the way that brains work from a neuroscience perspective, from a neurology perspective, from a brain, we just don't understand it because I don't know that all of our brains work the same. Maybe my arm works the same as your arm. I don't know what the brains do. And when the more we look at how do people learn, okay, well, learning is different than processing. And when we learn in all, first we thought it was like, oh, there's just 7 different learning styles. And now there's like 14 or 15.
right.
And I think if you keep studying it, you'll realize everyone has their own And it's some weird combination of these different options. And that's what neurodiversity is. It's literally just saying humans have brains that process differently. Humans have sexuality that they process differently. That's another way that we can classify humans and how they exhibit and show up in this world. And neurodiversity is one of those things that people don't look at. It's like they assume that it's only for a certain group of people. But yes,
Right.
someone who's gone through chemo, someone who is experiencing extreme PTSD, particularly complex
Right.
PTSD, is going to
Mhm.
exhibit neurodistinctions. And I wonder often, have we labeled some of these neurodistinctions in ways to just try to understand what we're experiencing and seeing in the human race, instead of just recognizing Travis Michelle is neurodistinct in and of herself. I am neurodistinct in and of myself. So there's no other human that's processing the way I am. So because I have that worldview, when I look at my son, I know that he's going to process the way he's going to process. Just like when I look at every child, I'm like, you're going to process
Right.
the way you process. If you have agency and you are empowered and loved, you're going to take over the world. I really believe that we all have I believe a unique, rare solution that we're brought here. If you believe in God, that God sent you here to be able to offer to the world. And when we're not ashy, we're clear in who we authentically be and what we're going to do with integrity. We start to recognize, okay, I process in this way. I believe these things. I value these things. And other people are not even going to be looking at those things. Is that not processing? And would that not be considered neurodistinction? And so I look at my son and I go, yeah, he has the lens of an artist, a linguist, and someone who auditorily processes. What is that
Right.
diagnosed as? Who knows? We don't even start diagnosing until we start looking at the dysfunction. And I
Right.
have big problems with that, which is a whole other conversation for another day. So I guess I'll land there. So when I think about my son, I'm sure he may need certain supports. I believe every human needs specific supports that match the way that they process so that they can navigate this world and navigate life without it just, I lived, versus I got to live. I want everybody to be able to live. You know what I mean? And I
Yes.
want that for my son. And so whatever that looks like for him, if we have to put this label on it right now to get these services so that he has the supports he needs, I'm comfortable with that. What we're not going to do is put a label and then say, so now these are his clothes and this is what he's capable of. We're not doing that. Not on
Wow.
my watch.
Thank you. And that's a different way to look at it. And when you, for those of you who are going to be on the replay, please put in their replay. And I hope you're taking this in, because there's so much going on in the world. And since COVID, and we all have a little PTSD, right? Because nobody's used to being quarantined. And now we are out in the streets and learning how to socialize again. Because some of our social skills, y'all, leave a lot to be desired. I'm just saying, just a lot to be desired. So having this conversation, it allows people to, like, hey, I was taking some looking at myself, not labeling other people, and saying, let me embrace my differences, as opposed to, oh my gosh, something's wrong with me and I'm less than. No, less than who? You are a human. So let's get to this unleashing the potential within. You've actually talked about it this whole time, and you've given examples this whole time. But I came up with that because I wanted to put this on because I think you have this also in your bio, unleashing the potential within. It's as though, and this is my interpretation, and I'll use myself as an example. I know what I'm capable of doing, but I'm holding myself back. And Ebony she's working with me and seeing that, oh my gosh, the way I was processing it, yes, but she then adds some sauce to it and makes me look at it in a different way. And then when I was able to express it, because sometimes it's in there, but we can't really put the words on it. That's where we need that coach to do that, that good friend, what have you. But you have to be open, you have to be present, and you have to want it. If you don't want it, this doesn't work. So for y'all that just want to stay the way you are, Ashley, that's on you. But we getting greased up over here with some Nivea and Vaseline and all that. So once I was able to see that and listen to her and learn, then I was able to execute. That's when now I'm able to unleash my potential. So just share with us about that. How do you get people to unleash the potential when you're coaching them?
So it's interesting. I don't know where you read that because I don't know how much I say that. But for me, I talk about like unlocking your expert, right? Like that's how I see it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it is an unleashing of potential. You're a wordsmith. You're so good. For me, so the way I look at it is this, right? We're ashy because we've been told that that's who we should be and what we should do. And so and especially if it's allowed you to be successful, you've had great jobs or a great career, right? You're making good money, you bought the house, kids are in college. It's hard to see that these aren't my clothes, but you feel it. You feel it and something ain't right and you're spazzing all over the place and going off on people. It just all kind of stuff is happening, right?
Right.
When you sit and go, okay, I just need clarity on what's here. And so I talk a lot about it as like, you really want to get to a place where you're taking it all out and putting it all on the table so that you can like look at it all. But that's where people stop. Instead of recognizing, well, what does all of this mean? What does it mean for me that this is on my table?
Right.
What does it mean? What resources do I have to handle this? What am I unsure about on this table? What do I not know how to tackle on this table? We don't go that deep. And that's where the unlocking happens. See, the thing is, we have this greatness. It's diluted because the world told you to dilute it because that's how they can keep you doing what you need to do. You can't move. I've said this before. You can't move when you're ashy. You're going to start a fire. You need some WD, you need some lotion, right? But the option is not to get you to move. It's, I need you to stay so that when you're needed, I can come add some WD-40 and get you to move.
Right.
So your greatness is set up to be diluted, especially if you sit at multiple intersections of marginalization, first of all. But even if you are lily white and have had no oppression in your whole life, the world still told you who you were, and you're sitting in that. And so your greatness is diluted. You just need someone to come in and go, you see that little clump right there? Take that out of this water. Take that out. That part too. Did you hear yourself say that? That matters too. Grab that. Okay, now look at all this on the table. What you see? What do you see? Because whatever I see is not your truth. What you see is your truth. But a lot of times what I find is that people have a hard time seeing the things. And you know why? Because as you went through life, especially if you're older, you've gone through life and people said, oh, that's a problem. So you threw it under the rug. Oh, that's too much. So you put it in the attic. You don't know where the shit is. Years later, you have no idea where it is in your house, your life. You don't know where it is. And it helps as you could, but it's still there. There's remnants of it. You can still smell it from the attic, right? So you start talking about it. And I'm like, oh, you just mentioned an aroma. What's that? Oh, well, there is this thing in the attic. Oh, that thing in the attic. And then that is what unlocks your expert or unleashes your potential. And I think you probably agree that that was what the process was with you. And it came very quick with you. And it tends to with people who have done the work on themselves already, and they're really trying to step into their calling. It's just kind of helping you connect those dots. But it's dots you don't see because they've been hidden. They've literally been hidden from you, by you, in an attempt to keep you safe in a world that told you can't have that. It's no different than during the Holocaust, people of Jewish descent hiding. It's the same thing. It's to stay safe, but you kind of forget what you hid, especially if you've moved on with your life. You forgot. Right. And I just help you remember by listening and hyper fixating on the things you're saying that you're not hearing yourself say, the things you're doing that you can't see what it means. And that is a big part due to the autism. I just thought I was smart.
Well, you are smart.
I am, but it's also a big part of the way that I process. I'm a certain kind of smart because of the autism, if that makes sense.
Right. Yeah, and that is so good. The way, first of all, she hasn't said a lot of it, but let me tell you, she is huge on clarity. When we were supposed to do, we were doing a room together, and I was like, oh my goodness, the three of, it was a group of us, and she was like, well, it sounds like a great idea, and I definitely would be on board. I just need some more clarity as to what. And I was like, yes, ooh, like snatch our edges back, because we were just all caught up in the moment, right? And because Ebony made us stop and be clear, when I tell you our rooms were like great, people loved it, but we had clarity. And that's what she has helped me with, having clarity, because I know what I want to do. But now I'm just like, I'm focused. Like, I am a speaker. I'm going to light your stages on fire. And it's not about motivating you, it's about transforming you. It's about giving you those tools that you need. So when you leave, you're not just like, oh my gosh, everything is great, la la, and you walk outside those doors and it just poof, be gone. And when you have a situation, you don't even associate it with what I talked to you about or spoke to you about, poured into you, because you didn't have any tools. So with that being said, you thought I was segueing. Bam! That's why you get the Boss Up with Confidence, this 30-day journal, and you write it out. So when you see it, it looks different, because we keep it up here. Okay, I'll raise my hand. I like to do a lot of stuff up here. But when you write it down, you can see your wins. And don't say little wins, please. I mean, we can have baby steps, but no, look, every win is a win. And when you recognize one step, and then you can build on that and that's how you do walk. That's when you can walk in your confidence. That's in your why, right? Not so much your purpose, but what is your why? Why are you doing this? Why are you not doing this? So this helps you with that. And of course, I have my link, but y'all, I'm gonna throw it out here. You know how I do. I know it's great for people to have like scripts and everything when they're going. I don't do that. That's why I'm late night with Travis Michelle, because I can't do it like other people. I'm not going to do it like other people. And I'm good with that. I'm okay with it, because that's my truth. So go ahead and grab this on your on Amazon. It's available for you. And you know what? I didn't used to talk about it. If you go and look at my other videos, you'd be like, you didn't even know I had a journal. I didn't even say anything. But all of this ties in. And the guests that we have on, that's what it's about. What is the journey, right? How did we get there? So with that, we're going to segue, Ebony, and like, how did you get to this space? Because you're very successful. She's so successful, and she's like, oh, this is what I need to do. I only need this many clients. Oh, you didn't think I was going to say that. But anyhow, yeah, I only need this many clients because I have these obligations, right? Mm-hmm. So no, I'm okay with saying no.
Yep. Absolutely. Not 10 toes down in my nose, stand 10 toes down in my yes. Yep.
Exactly. So tell us about that, because people need to know how to navigate when there are challenges. It's great to say what my success is. However, when you hit those challenges, those peaks and valleys, how do you keep going?
Mm-hmm. But one of our favorite words, resilience. And I've been knocked down so many times, but like you recognize, like, yo, I can take a punch. So it's similar. I had a consulting business for over 2 decades, where I did a lot of strategy, a lot of data analysis, a lot of project management and operations. And you got to work with a lot of world-renowned leaders, and some of that time I overlapped, and I was also full-time employee in really prestigious places working for world-renowned leaders, right? So you get a chance to envision what vision looks like in action. You get to see what's happening as you're doing all these things, being a consultant, being an employee. And then you get frustrated. You get frustrated that you're not able to be yourself. You're playing these respectability politics. This was my truth, right? And so I, trying to be Ebony, talks like this, and still with all my thoughts, but scripted, masked, and I was sick of it. And I had gotten to a point where I didn't need the money. So you end up getting to a point where you're like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. So going full time in the business, falling in love with coaching, getting trained and certified to become a coach, I just thought, well, and this was one of the biggest like trials that I went through. Okay, I'm going to just kind of do what I do as a consultant, but now as a coach. Didn't really understand how to form a coaching business. And they don't teach you that when you go get licensed and trained. Believe that. Anybody who's listening, they don't teach you how to create the coaching business. They teach you how to coach the way they coach, which is a whole nother conversation for another day. But going through that was a struggle because I had put so much resources into creating this, what I thought at the time was going to be like a secondary service in my business. You know how people have like consulting and coaching, and it was all phony. It was all ashy because I didn't know what I was doing. So I wasn't trying to be ashy, but I was inadvertently ashy. And I didn't even know I needed lotion until I realized it wasn't working, right? That was very painful because I'm like, I've been an entrepreneur for almost 2 decades. Why am I struggling with this? Why can't I get sales? Why can't I? And thank you for the diluting your greatness, because at the time, what I was doing was diluting my greatness. I was trying to be like other coaches because that's how I was trained to be a coach. I had just gotten certified. So I'm like, I got to jump out there. I got to have programs. I got to have challenges. I got to post on social media 3 or 4 or 5 times a day. Bullshit. None of that worked. None of it worked. With the same message I have today, to be clear, with the same offers I have today, it didn't work. So that was the second part of like, how am I going to get past this hurdle? I figured out the first hurdle and closed the consulting business and focused 100% on the coaching business. And I was in a good place. Okay. Wanted to scale to more clients, getting more people into my academies, my Unlock Your Expert academies that I have for coaches, advisors, and strategists and advisors. And I was like, listen, I want to get more people into this, but I didn't know how to brand. I didn't have a brand at the time. My business was called Ebony L Green Coaching. I was calling myself the Impact Warrior. Obviously, the Ratchet Sage is 10 times better. And authentic distinction is what I help people get to. What makes you distinct so that you stand out, right? How can you be yourself in your life, your love, and your business? And that became the work, and everything centered around that message. But the work, the programs, the offers already had that embedded, because that was the truth that I needed to save my life. It's the only thing I could coach someone on, is what I used to save my life. So there were constant things that came up, like, I don't really know how to do this. And, oh, they're telling me to go live, but I don't really want to be seen. Black autistic woman. I don't feel like going live now. You see, I'm just going live with you and whomever else I feel comfortable with speaking with, right? Been on Clubhouse since 2020, now a Clubhouse icon. All of those types of things ended up popping off throughout this time because of resilience. I never forgot that there's always something that I done hid in the attic or underneath the rug that I'll be able to pull out in the darkest hour, because I've seen it happen over and over and over again. I also have a strong village. I do have a lot of support. And so even when I'm like, I can't do nothing right and I need to just close everything down and just shut everything down, there's always someone there to be like, no. And my husband is the first person to be like, okay, I don't know what's going on. You need some ice cream? You need a back rub? I don't know, but we're not doing that, right? So that I do have cheerleaders who will never let me fall. And that helps too. So yeah, I would say village, constantly recognizing you bad. You've been bad. Everything that led you up to this got you to where you are. And every single time you didn't know, you ended up figuring it out, and it ended up being more glorious than you could have thought. When you see it that way, it's kind of hard to not see your current struggle that way. but you need it helps to have that perspective and that lens. And that's one of the things I love that you and I talk about, that resilience all the time. It is not about being strong. There's times when I am weak as fuck, but I'm sitting there standing in my resilience like, yo, I'm crying, but I'm gonna figure this out. You know what I'm saying? And you don't give up. You might rest and say, you know what, tomorrow. But tomorrow comes and you get on it again. You love yourself enough to show up for yourself. And that's a part of being authentic in your being and having integrity in what you're doing. That's important too. That's a part of not being ashy, is actually showing up for yourself. Even when it seems like I have no idea how this is going to work out, still show up for yourself. And that's something that I can share with people too. And a lot of times the way you got to show up for yourself is not going to be the way that other people encourage you to show up for yourself.
Wow, that's a mouthful. Hi, Michelle, my other besties on here. Showing up for yourself. And again, this is what I've been saying now as part of my message. Priority number one, that's really loving yourself. It's not, y'all like my nails? Haven't had them in 20 years, but you know what I'm saying? Getting your manicures, your pedicures, and your, your massages and stuff. That's all great. But it's that inner work. It's the substance part. Because they'll pop off, they're going to break, then, I'm going to have to put filler in here, right? That massage will last until you go and stretch or do something, and then you're going to run back that same minute? No, right? So loving ourselves, showing up for ourselves, it's about getting to know who you are. Stop being ashy. And when other people tell you, like, no, Michelle and I, we give 0 F's. That's it. We're fearfully and wonderfully made. And whatever we're going through, we're going through. And it's okay to lean into it. Mm-hmm. Just don't stay in that negative space. Because, you hear some people say it's what happens to you between the dash when you're born and when you die. So when you're on your journey, think of it like that. It's great. Yes, you're successful. Like, I never wanted a late night with Travis Michelle show. I never wanted all this. This seems like too much work. I got to get guests. I have to learn how to do graphics, blah, blah, blah. What are we going to talk about? And that was not I didn't know it was on my journey. But when I recognized my truth and what other people saw, then I knew I had to give back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Like Ebony, like
you had to walk. You had to walk it out, right? You had to walk. Tell the people.
Walk it out, right? And so I had to be a willing participant and say, "Hey, this is what I need to work on." It's worked for me. When people say, "Oh, show me receipts, show me receipts, show me receipts," and you can buy. Look, when I was diagnosed in November 2021, with hearing those 4 words, you have cervical cancer. I just didn't share with everybody else that it was advanced cervical cancer. But I heard them say that it's curable. Now, everybody around me heard death. I heard the curable. So what could I do? I could sit in it and just woe is me, or I could unleash the potential within myself and say, I'm here to do this work. God, you said I shall live and not die. Let's go. Fearfully and wonderfully made. Show up. Walk through it. But I had to reach out because that village was Tiffany Teachy on here. She's our hidden figure because she is a mechanical engineer, international bestseller author, helped me publish, and TEDx, went to South Africa, children's books, like you name it.
Okay.
Right? Oh, and she's a Delta. I have to throw that in there.
Oh, yes.
But and then there's Michelle, who is a breast cancer warrior before the age of but she was before 40. You know what I mean? Like 36 children. And she was like, girl, it's Team Travis Michelle. What? That's where it came from. Team Travis Michelle. And then when she's going through, and I'm like, but she was there for me. The two of us were a trip. But we had to unleash the potential within us. I'm going to ring my bell. My family couldn't be there. Michelle was there. She had tubes coming out of her 4. And here I could barely walk, think, or talk or anything. And I'm up there ringing the bell. She's making me do TikTok. I'm like, it was only, I think it was 10 seconds. It took 20 minutes. They couldn't even take me to my treatment because I was wasted. But it's that village, right? And then as we progress, meeting Ebony, Angelique, it's all of you who are here on replay. This is that village, and it's so important how you show up for yourself. It's not just showing up now. How you showing up? Sometimes we're gonna show up raggedy. Absolutely. Sometimes it's just a raggedy day. You know what I'm saying? Monday was a raggedy day for me, but I still showed up. And that's where that resilience comes in, right? And Tiffany says that's one of her favorite words, right? Resilience. How do you do that? And you know, Coach Ebony, the Ratchet Sage, y'all. I love saying the Ratchet Sage.
Me too.
And when we talk, I can tell y'all something. When we talk private, it be ratchet. It be good ratchet though, but it be ratchet. So, how can we find you in the streets, social media streets?
I am at Authentic Distinction everywhere except for Twitter and YouTube, where I'm at True Distinction. And then on Clubhouse, I'm at Coach Ebony. But pretty much, if you follow Travis Michelle, you're gonna see me in a room with Travis Michelle. We're gonna be kikiing in the background, but it is what it is. But yeah, that's where y'all can find me. My website is ebonylgreen.com, and I think you got my link bio in the chat, so I appreciate you for putting that up. But yeah, I'm just trying to help people be a little less ashy. And I love what you said. It's okay to be ashy. I'm not here to say you're a bad person if you're ashy. I would just say you're diluting your greatness and showing up with your mess if you don't go get some lotion. And the lotion you need, only you know what it is. So you're the only person that can go get it. Okay? So before somebody else come check you, boo, and get you some lotion. That's all I would say. I show up ashy every single day at some point in the day. But I know how to go get that lotion in immediate app. Okay, I want you to do the same thing. And that's what I will say, because I love how you bring that up. I think people don't give themselves enough grace. You don't got to be perfect. Yes. And I don't want to give people the impression when I say don't be out here ashy in these streets. I mean in these streets. You're going to be ashy in your life at some point, but you're going to get you some lotion so that when you show up, oh, you glistening. We shining. We standing out. We are slaying. Okay? That's what we want.
You see what I said? I'm saying me, and I'm pointing at you, because you show up for yourself, then people will accept who you are. But when you show up for them, they're going to criticize everything you do. And then you have nothing to lean back into because you're doing it for them and not for you. When you do it for you, okay, they may, disappoint, say some things that hurt, but you're like, I'm 10 toes down. It's about me. It's about you. How are you going to show up? Because struggle is, I don't like to say struggle, because I always say, don't let your struggle be your only story, right? But challenges are going to show up because we're human. My goodness, could we stop with the telling each other, oh girl, just pray on it and it'll get better. Oh, that's all right. And don't fix it. Sometimes we need to, y'all back up, because my braces, I just spit. Did you see that? Sorry.
No.
Anywho, some of y'all did. I know you did. But back up, all right? But because these braces are doing their own thing. But see how I can, instead of like, oh my goodness, I got to be perfect. Oh my gosh, I hope nobody saw it. I'm leaning in. I'm telling you, this is how it is. This is life. Challenges show up. I was doing this while I was going through chemo. I published my journal, which has my walk method in it, Boss Up with Confidence. Yeah. 3rd week chemo radiation. Tiffany is like, push the button, push it. I'm like, but that village, Michelle, my daughter Sasha, Ma, you said you're going to get it done. Get it done. Meanwhile, I'm like, I got the C, I got the cancer. Y'all be nice to me. They were like, no, you told us you wanted to get it done. And so you need that encouragement. You're not here by yourself. You have Ebony that you can definitely contact. You have me. We're out here in these social media streets. I'm at Instagram at Travis Michelle, LinkedIn at Travis Michelle. I'm going to have a monthly newsletter and I'm going to be starting a blog. My website, www.travismichelle.com. You see, branding. Everything is just Travis Michelle, Travis Michelle. That's all you have to remember, Travis Michelle. But make sure, y'all, I need you to sign up to my YouTube. It's Travis Michelle 7251. I need y'all to subscribe. I'm just saying. So just put that word out. I see that we have some more people joining, but you probably joined on a different platform. So I can only concentrate on one because that's all my brain. I'm not there yet where I can do like all over the place. So thank you so much for joining. Make sure that you share this out. We're here every Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm so glad to just be able to come back and be on my show because it was tough when I wasn't able to. I wasn't able to unleash that potential within myself, but I needed to take care of myself. So Ebony, if you could just briefly share with us when you can't unleash the potential because you need to care for yourself as a priority, how can we do that? Can you give us some tips?
You just told the folks, so I'm going to reiterate for you. What they need to do is get the Bossed Up Journal. They need to learn the walk method. You have to be a willing participant in your healing. It starts with you. It starts with you. And while I believe wholeheartedly that coaching is a healing modality, there is a healing to the work I do, but you got to come to me semi-healed. So y'all go on and do the work with Travis. Get yourself together, get the walk method together, get that perfected, and then come on over to me, and I will definitely help you figure out what your unique rare solution is and how you're going to exhibit that to get the distinction, the respect. We're gonna replace that disrespect with the respect because they got to deal with you when they need what you have to offer and they can't get it anywhere else, and they know you know it. And that's what I really want for folks. But they got to have done some, they got to be able to walk Travis Michelle. And that's why I need you to get out there, give them your greatness. If Travis Michelle don't Travis Michelle, we don't get Travis Michelle. Just like if Einstein don't Einstein, we don't get Einstein. But I think that's what it is. It starts with being a willing participant in your healing, which means you have to drive it. You have to be the person that says, this is what my healing looks like for me. Nobody gets to define that for you. And I think that's the first step, but it starts with that W.
Thank you. You know what? But see, this is what, when you have the right village, I always say that right circle, and this is what queens do, right? And this is what kings do. True kings and queens, we manage each other up. Because when I shine, Ebony shines, Tiffany shines, you shine, right? And when you shine, other people around you shine. You shouldn't be in a box where it's all dark. No, everybody, because now I feel when I need that extra lift, it's like, oh yeah, that's right. I know who I can contact. I know that I have that recall because I needed it during chemo radiation. I needed every bit of all the positivity, a text, and thank you for those of you who prayed for me, texted me, called me, offered Instacart. I mean, went with me to therapies, all kind of stuff. It meant so much. Even if you were someplace else and you just, and I would be able to read a text because I couldn't even talk on the phone. And I was like, wow, somebody thought of me today. Y'all greased up for me. Y'all weren't ashy, and I appreciate you.
No. And it's mutual. If you do not take more than you give. And I can say that in your face to the public.
Queen, thank you so much. Thank you. Because this, like I said, we have to be a willing participant. My grandma always said, y'all know how much I love my grandparents. So they were from the South. I didn't say the South. Yes, I do know how to speak. They were from the South with the F, Souf.
Yeah.
But the tail follows the head. I'm going to say it again. The tail follows the head.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to move your arm, your legs, unless your head says it's time to move my arms and my legs. But you have to be a willing participant so that then you can go into the action steps, therapy, losing weight, coaching, pruning some people out your life, like letting them walk away and don't chase them to come back. L, love yourself by forgiving you first. Forgive yourself for that divorce that didn't work out, not being the best parent, lover, friend, employee. Forgive you first for that. And just take one event at a time. Don't try to put them all together, which then will lead you to freedom. So when people say, girl, I know what you used to do, I know where you used to be, because they have Freaknik. You know how that Freaknik thing is coming up, the documentary, and folks are like pastors now and educated and all this other stuff out there. Don't be ashamed of who you were. That's where you were at that time, right? But when you forgive yourself, then you can walk in your freedom, which leads to that redemption, which is living your life. And instead of saying, oh my gosh, what I used to do, look, I made some mistakes, and some of them I actually enjoyed, even though were a mistake. But let's do better, because you know better, right? And then K, you can kick butt unapologetically. Yeah, that's right. I was in the club, and then I went to church, sure enough, and now I'm pastor somebody, right? Don't. And I'm just using that as an example because I'm in the church, so that it just was easier to throw to my brain. Don't be trying to write me and go. It ain't gonna work.
And that's what you mean by your don't let your struggle be your only story,
right? Because that's where people sit. And it's just, they can tell you over and over and over again about that. But they're doing wonderful things. They're parents in business, on, whatever it is. They're great artists, or they're a seamstress, or, they're the best sanitation worker there. You know what I mean? And or whatever. But they only want to talk about the negative. They only want to talk about that struggle. Let's stop doing that. Don't let that be your only story. That dash is how you got through it. Let that be your story. How'd you get through it? And it's called resilience. So guys, thank you so much. Ebony, do you have any closing remarks that you would like to leave us with?
I'm just looking forward to the conference and the TED Talk on the walk method. That's it.
See, I was spitting again. Y'all, I'm not going to be serious. If you're looking for this, oh my gosh, I'm just so, miseducated. That's just not who I am. I've learned to laugh at myself. So you can laugh at me or not. Sometimes I'm on here, and that, like last week, y'all didn't even realize it was an eyelash that I was like cussing out in my head, trying to dip out on me. I was like,
you couldn't see it. You felt it, but we couldn't see it.
I was like, come through, stop it. But if it had, I would have laughed through it and kept it moving. So that's what you need to do in your life. Laugh at yourself. Get in contact with Ebony L. Green, the Ratchet Sage. Make sure you put respect on that name. She is wonderful. She will keep you grounded, snatch your edges. But when you come out, you will definitely have clarity, and you are in the right place. But don't come there trying to play games, because she's just like, you don't want to do that, because I try to sometimes slip and slide a little bit, and I'm like, let me straighten up. I got it. I'm here. You will
not let you dilute your greatness. I will not let you dilute your greatness.
You will not. So thank you so much, guys. We're going to be on again next Wednesday, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm not going to tell you who the guest is yet. I told y'all a little peek last week, but no, just look for it. We're going to have more exciting things coming up. I'm really excited. Keep an eye on my Instagram, because I'm going to be doing some different things this coming week. I am so hyped. Let me tell you something, because I'm unleashing the potential within with the help of the Ratchet Sage. Until next week, y'all know how it goes. Travis Michelle here. Too much for some. Not enough for others. But guess what? I'm always just right for me. Have a good night, everyone. Until next week.